pretty good qualification. What about, is it the fact that together they've done over 30,000 surgeries involving the brain or the spine or neurological system? Yeah, pretty good qualifications. Maybe it's the fact that Dr. Maroon is also an accomplished athlete. Do you know he played football in college and was also an Ironman athlete? And Jeff Boast is also an athlete himself. And all of those are great qualifications. Maybe the best qualification for Dr. Maroon is that he and I are about the same height. That's a great qualification. But Jeff, that doesn't qualify you. Actually, the best qualification is that both Dr. Maroon and Jeff Boast have a deep understanding and respect for the products, our epigenetic products, the science and the benefits that they give everyone, and the importance of that. But even that's not the best qualification. The best qualification is the more time that they've spent around all of you, the more time they spend around distributors, they get it. They want you to succeed. They talk to me about you all the time, and they love being part of the ACTIVZ family. And people that want to be part of our family, that's the best qualification. So with no further ado, I introduce Dr. Maroon and Jeff Boast.
Organizations that I share knowledge and speak to, I really, for the last 6 years, Jeff and I have been more excited about interacting with the active people than any other group. You're enthusiastic, you're smart, you're incredibly motivated, and I think you really adhere to the three things that David mentioned in his introduction when he said, the real meaning of what we're doing is to provide better health, not only for our clients and patients, but for ourselves. Number two, to obtain a degree of security. And number three, to share fellowship. I've given a whole lot of things to the most important things in life. And number one is mental and physical health. Mental and physical health. Number two is fellowship and relationships with God, family, friends, and colleagues. And number three is carpe diem. Seize the day. None of us know the hour nor the time when we're going to be called, but those are the most important things. So when we talk about better mental and physical health, Coach Chuck Noll, who was the Super Bowl coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who actually hired me as the team doctor for the Steelers quite a few years ago, he said football's not complicated. It's very simple. It's about blocking and tackling, and whoever blocks and tackles the best wins the game. Healthy living is not complicated. It's about doing 4 or 5 things consistently on a daily basis and sharing that with your friends and your colleagues. So when I say it's not complicated, you all are familiar with epigenetics. And last night I had dinner with Claudia, and she actually gave me a lecture on epigenetics. You're so well informed on this that I really am very impressed with your depth of knowledge. So what does epigenetics mean? Let me give you a personal example. My father died at age 60, very suddenly, of a massive heart attack. And I thought genetically, as I was taught in medical school, my genes are going to determine when I leave this world. So when I approached 60, I thought this is it, my days are limited and there's nothing I can do about it. Genetically, I'm predisposed to exiting around 60 plus or minus a few. But what happened when he expired and passed, I made many changes in my life. I made many epigenetic changes. And epigenetics refers to those factors above the genes that tell the genes what of 100,000 different proteins to make that constitute how we feel, how we think, and how our bodies act. So my father, epigenetically, had a terrible diet, incredibly amount of processed foods, high fat, a lot of sugar, and he didn't exercise. He was really intent on preparing and trying to provide security for his own family. So he didn't exercise or work out at all. And environmentally, he occasionally would drink a little too much on weekends, and also living where we did in Wheeling, West Virginia, there was coal mines and steel mills contaminating the air and the water. And emotional health, he was in a high stress situation and in his work. And all of these things create oxidative stress that Jeff's going to tell you a little bit about. But it also results in inflammation. What's the common cause of cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, arthritis? It's inflammation. So these epigenetic factors that you all control by your choices on a daily basis are really going to determine 90% plus or minus of your health and your longevity. Not complicated. So if you have a healthy diet, kind of tending towards a Mediterranean diet with a lot of vegetables, fruits, lean protein, fish, and also appropriate supplements. And you exercise, and what exercise does in terms of, it creates a molecule called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It creates new brain cells, it creates new synapses with the brain cells, and enhances your ability to take huge amounts of information, like we did like Ryan did and David did, and talk to you about it. And if you watch where if you can, in terms of your environment, you don't smoke, certainly not much alcohol, and emotional health, reduce stress. The people who live the longest in this world, in various areas of the world, Okinawa, Nicosia in South America, and Sardinia, they have strong family units. What's the importance of a strong family unit? It reduces stress. And you don't throw people out when they get over 65 or 70 and have a stroke or a problem. They have family units that protect them, which reduces the cortisol and helps them. So these are the epigenetic factors that you're marketing, that you're doing yourself, and adhering to a good lifestyle. So what happens if you don't have this kind of a health lifestyle? What is oxidative stress? And Jeff is going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Dr. Murray. Thank you all for having us down here today. We really appreciate it. It's been a whirlwind year. Since a year ago in Salt Lake City, we've really been able to do a lot of education, and it's grateful to see everyone here today. And as Dr. Murray said, our role is really to educate on the science, and as David said, specifically on the products that are available, and very shortly a new product. So I'm getting David a little stressed there. I'd like to go back to the last slide, if I could. Let's see if I can do that. I just want to point out, as Dr. Murray said in this slide, and I want to focus on this, there's a word there called transcription factors. Does everyone see that? He just told you a lot of good things to do and a lot of bad things not to do. And the pathway that happens in the body is through transcription factors. Okay? So people always said, well, you always say it's good to exercise, and you always say it's good to eat healthy. How does that mean I'm gonna be healthy? Well, the fact is that there's molecules in the body that can recognize what you do in your lifestyle. They can recognize smoking. They can recognize a high fatty diet. They can recognize a couch potato. And what happens is it tells every cell in the body through transcription factors how to act. So if you act in a certain way, the transcription factors are telling your body to either be healthy or unhealthy. And this is where the products that you're selling and taking right now come into effect through the pathway of epigenetics. It's so important to tell when you talk about the products that this isn't just my word. This isn't just some, well, you should take this. There is a reason, and it's a chemical reason, and it's a biologic reason. There's an actual pathway within our body through transcription factors that activate cells in a healthier way. I think that's so important. One of the ways is we're not being healthy, just one of the ways, and you remember Dr. Moon had 4 areas. Diet is certainly one of them that we talk about a lot, and dietary supplements are certainly part of that story. Americans export a lot of great things over the years, but one thing they did not export well, and other people should not have consumed, was the American diet. And now we're seeing this throughout Latin America, Mexico, really the whole world. Increased salt, sugar, saturated fats, processed food, ultra-processed foods, which can act like hormones on the body and alter your hormone function. Okay? Sweets, fried foods, treats. The westernization of diets around the world has caused an explosion of chronic diseases, as Dr. Maroon said, related to excessive inflammation and oxidative stress. Diabetes, heart disease, as he described in his father, Alzheimer's disease, and obesity. So we're seeing this. At the same time, we're seeing micronutrient deficiencies. Okay, so we're getting so much of the bad stuff, we're not getting much of the good stuff. So the nutrient levels that are good for us are dropping precipitously. And as I said, this results in inflammation and oxidative stress. Okay, well that's just part of the story. This is a complex slide, but diet is just part of the story. As Dr. Maroon said, pollution, physical inactivity, chronic diseases. We just went through a COVID epidemic. Now we're seeing flu epidemics. All of these things add up to stimulating our body to produce oxidative stress and inflammation. Smoking, microbiome. We know about that through butyric acid in lynx, how important that is. And our microbiome, in a vast majority of people, is shot. Okay? Because the bacteria in it are not being supported by our diet, and they're dying. Radiation from all the sources around us are all leading to oxidative stress. Inflammation and oxidation are paired together. As you can see, they're cogs in the same machine. They're circling, and they circle each other until it finally leads to chronic diseases of aging. So as we get older, we don't have, as Dr. Maroon is a perfect example, you don't have to die of heart disease young. You don't have to have autoimmune problems and cancer and Alzheimer's and all the things we're seeing. We're not saying that it's necessarily completely related to a dietary supplement. What we're saying is a lifestyle change. And you have to be advocates of lifestyle change. By example, by what you tell your distributors out there is, this is not just a diet or a supplement or a pill. This is the idea of changing your lifestyle and be an example to them. And what are the important parts in changing our lifestyle? If you don't do that, they're going to say, "Oh, look, that person's eating a Big Mac," or "There's that person." You can't be hypocritical. You got to live the lifestyle that you're talking about. And of course, Dr. Maroon does live that lifestyle. I try, and we all try, but I'm not as good as Dr. Maroon. So understanding oxidative stress. Okay, this is a word that is so important to your distributors. You really have to allow them to understand this. Oxidative stress is the production of free radicals. So back on the previous slide, all those things that our pollution, all the toxicity in our diet is causing oxidative stress because it's producing free radicals. Our fantastic body has evolved to produce something to counter free radicals, and those are called antioxidants. So our body is making antioxidants to try to counter free radicals all the time. Okay, so that's a great thing. But the problem is our body is overwhelmed. The systems that are in place to make antioxidants are overwhelmed, and we need help. Not only on what we take as far as dietary supplements, but what we do in our lifestyle. So this is very important. One of the best ways to tell this to someone is the apple. The apple is a great example for you to have with you when you talk to someone and say, at the beginning of the conversation, I'm going to cut this apple in half. And then 20, 30 minutes later, you're going to look at that apple and you're going to see it's browning. That is oxidative stress. The fact that free radicals from the oxygen in the air and the oxygen in the air are attacking that tissue of exposed tissue of that apple and changing it and making it brown, making it sick. So that's a great example that you can use every day talking about oxidative stress. Oxidative stress and inflammation are paired with each other. When one goes up, the other goes up. Antioxidants can drop free radicals. They can also lower inflammation. And the reverse is true. If there's lower levels of antioxidants, inflammation go up. So they're linked together. And that's very important. How is oxidative? Well, it's a complex mechanism, but the fact is they are linked together. One begets the other. So what is glutathione? We've talked, and the synergism here with Dr. Maroon and his research, which he's going to discuss here in a minute, is unbelievable. The idea of genomics having an effect to produce antioxidants, including glutathione, through the pathway of activating Nrf2 transcription factor. So this is a lot to understand, but the fact is that the products, specifically genomics, can activate a neurotransmitter, or excuse me, a transcription factor, which I discussed earlier. That's the molecule that can tell what's happening on the outside to what every cell is going to do on the inside. So it's basically a factor that can control our cells. Okay? And so when we take the genomics product, the ingredients within it, it is activating Nrf2. Nrf2 can produce antioxidants, including glutathione. So glutathione is one of the most important, and Dr. Maroon will go into this in great detail, one of the most important antioxidants our body produces. It has the ability to repair DNA. It has the repair ability to help regenerate with vitamin C and vitamin E. So glutathione is an important antioxidant in the body. And what happens as we get older? It drops. The production of glutathione becomes less and less. And it's also in the presence of diseases that glutathione drops. And Dr. Maroon will discuss neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease, where glutathione drops related to having those conditions. So glutathione has the ability to help brain cells. The highest concentration of glutathione is located in the brain. Okay? It improves cellular survival of astrocytes and other cells within our brain. And that's one of the reasons that he's doing the research that he's doing. So we've talked about this product in the past. And today, as you notice, we're not specifically discussing links or Optimed. We're specifically talking about genomics and its ability to activate Nrf2, a transcription factor, and by the ingredients, including rosemary, gingerol, and luteol, have been shown individually and separately to activate Nrf2 in the pathway that we discussed. And here they are now. There's a synergism of action between these three ingredients, meaning individually they don't work as well as they do together. And that's important, okay? And specifically, each one of them have been shown to activate Nrf2. So What is it? Why is this important? Well, we talked about it. The 3 products have been shown to lower chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. They've been shown to counter pollution and other toxicities associated with just living, where we are, what we do. And the fact is, and this is so important in bold print here, most of our antioxidant production is near maximum, meaning we're at our limits. Society, stress, whatever is against us is putting our antioxidants in jeopardy, and they're dropping precipitously. So the ability to take something, the ingredients within genomics, to elevate our Nrf2 and produce antioxidants is critical. So Dr. Maroon, I'm going to bring you back. I know you have a lot to say about Nrf2 and your research on glutathione.
Thank you, Jeff. So Nrf2, as Jeff said, activates glutathione, the main antioxidant in the brain. It has incredible responses in mitochondrial function. It's an anti-inflammatory. And I draw your attention to the heme and iron metabolism, which it suppresses. And why do I do that? The benefits are, as mentioned here, the neurons, the microglia, and in aging, and in all of the inflammatory epigenetic factors that we mentioned, it reduces it impairs mitochondria, it reduces the glutathione in the brain. So serendipitously, about 3 years ago, I began collaborating with a fellow, Pravat Mandal, Dr. Pravat Mandal, who is the director of the Indian National Brain Institute for all of India. And Dr. Mandal and I subsequently have written several papers together. And he's a world specialist in magnetic resonance spectroscopy. It's using an MRI machine device to measure the chemicals in the brain. It's a brain biopsy of brain chemicals non-invasively. So we've shown that in patients with mild cognitive impairment, losing your memory early, 20% go on to having Alzheimer's disease. In Alzheimer's disease and in Parkinson's disease, and we believe also in chronic traumatic encephalopathy following traumatic brain injury, there's a marked deficiency in the brain. We've published papers, the title of which is Oxidative Stress Precedes the Deposition of Beta Amyloid in the Brain. Does anybody know the significance of beta amyloid in Alzheimer's disease? Drug companies have spent billions of dollars to get rid of beta amyloid, which is a protein that forms in the brain that's inflammatory, toxic, and leads to chronic degeneration and Alzheimer's disease. What we've shown is that glutathione in the patients with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's is markedly deficient. So what does that mean? If glutathione is the main antioxidant in the brain, and it's deficient in those select categories of diseases, why? It's because as we age, as we generate toxic free radicals, it gets used up and we're not able to replace it efficiently. So the synergy of where genomics comes in is genomics is actually a molecule that creates new glutathione. It's a precursor, in a way, to the development in the body's acquisition of glutathione. And I was speaking to Claudia last night about her grandfather, who developed Parkinson's disease at age 83 or so. And she put him on genomics, which anecdotally arrested the Parkinson's disease. We have now used this in several patients with Parkinson's disease who develop early tremor. And anecdotally, it's really arrested the process. So what we intend to do now, and I've actually recruited Dr. Mandel he's now on the faculty of neurosurgery at the University of Pittsburgh. And we're submitting many grants to study the effect of glutathione, how to supplement it, and the test is going to be to take a cohort of individuals with AD or PD and maybe CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. We intend to do that with a group of Navy SEALs and also former NFL players who are symptomatic cognitively and behaviorally because of trauma. Measure non-invasively the glutathione in the brain, and then supplement them to see if we can increase the glutathione and compare it with pre-neurobehavioral and neurocognitive testing. So what we're talking about in this group is really an incredibly powerful, potentially powerful agent that I certainly take every day. And you know, I've beat my father by about 24 years now, so I'm going to continue to take it and hopefully get another few. So with that, let me summarize in terms of the summary of the products that we take, and you know, Link and Genomics and Optimin, they're all very, very effective products and formulations, and I think it plays into the epigenetics of not only diet, exercise, reducing stress and environmental factors, but also an appropriate supplement to aid our bodies to maintain health and longevity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Una vez más, fuerte aplauso para... ¿Qué les pareció?
Excelente.
Gracias. Yo estaba escuchando a los intérpretes y suena bien.